the child. And I told her, do you remember a time when you were a part of a class of maybe 50 or 60 in school? And then there were some students who were not the brightest in the class, or who would be a little reticent, or who would not be very talkative, or very they wouldn't look like they very smart, and they wouldn't come across as very eloquent. And then when you met them after school, or when you met them after your 12th or your graduation, then they have become totally different and their personality has changed. So she said, yes, I know many of them like that. So I said, in that case, you should know that a child who has been a very reserved child for almost entire school life, up to 10th or up to 12th, can also develop a different personality later on. And similarly, we have seen other classmates and fellow mates who exhibited one or the other defects. Maybe somebody was not very fluent in speech, but later on they worked on it and the speech got better. So one thing is, yes, you are making an effort to take measures which will help that child to overcome whatever you are not observing is perfect with the child right now. But the second part is accepting that my child is good enough despite this, and then radiating the right energy to the child. Because what we don't understand is, whenever we are working with each other or interacting with each other, the interaction is at three levels at once. It is at the level of the thought and vibration that I am radiating to the person, the words I am speaking, and what I am doing for them physically. So there are three things. Now, you have heard this Om Shanti ever since we started interacting on this platform. Now, I would like to tell you what this Om Shanti means. The word Om is made of three alphabets, A, U and Ma in Hindi, and in English, A, U and M. So when we say A, U and Ma, it means Acharan, Uchcharan or Man. And when we say AUM, it means action, utterance and mind. So that which we are doing, that which we are speaking, and that which we are thinking. So the mind creates thoughts and feelings, and consequently we create our vibration. So our vibration created by our thought, our words, and then our actions should be in alignment. That is what Om means, that your Acharan, Uchcharan and your Man should be in alignment. That is, you should think what you're speaking and what you're doing, or what you're thinking should be the same as what you're speaking and what you're doing. And then we say Om Shanti, which means make all these three peaceful. Okay? Because I'm a peaceful soul, so my thought, word and action should radiate peace. So the second expression of Om Shanti is I am a peaceful soul. So only when I am a peaceful soul can these three be in alignment. So now what we need to understand is, Because every soul is not at peace these days. We are all at a state of being which is less than peaceful or happy or knowledgeful, or it is very, very distant from what is our original state. This is why there is a misalignment between our thought, word, and action. Or if I say the intention and the action don't match many times. Okay, because we don't have the capacity to put our intention into action because our sanskars interfere in between. Now, if you see, this mother has very good intention. All she wants is she wants the child to be perfect. But in doing so, she is not taking cognizance of a very important fact, which is the child is a soul and the soul has a journey of his own. And if we are trying to intervene in somebody's journey, if we are trying to facilitate somebody's journey, it is a different thing. If we are trying to intervene in somebody's journey, then we become intrusive, and that affects that journey negatively. For example, what I mean by intervening in the journey is, if I do not honor the fact that the child has a journey, and yes, maybe right now the speech is not perfect or not up to my expectation, so let me give him the necessary aids. If I feel, let me spend that child to a speech therapy session, all right. But let me refrain from labeling the child according to the speech, because in a very unconscious manner, what the mother has ended up doing is, she has sent out this message to that child that you are a child with an imperfect speech, and that has become a label with the child which the child is carrying. And when this kind of a label becomes very ingrained in the mindset of the child, then the child has this tendency to think that I am not good enough. And then that child cannot overcome that thought that I am not good enough and cannot operate up to the maximum of his potential. So, what I mean by the love of human beings is not perfect is because people are not perfect. And because we are not perfect, because we are not very spiritually aware, we are not at peace, or we are not in consonance with spiritual laws, we do not take cognizance of what the truth is. That is why even when we operate with very good intentions, we might end up doing a lot of damage. Okay, so this is what I mean by the love of human beings is not perfect or not enough for our development, because everybody has a perception. Like when a child is about to be born, then parents have a certain idea about how they want that child to be, or they have a certain idea about what they want him to grow up into. But all that is interfering with who the child is intended to be. Because in that whole quest, we forget that every child is a soul with a unique man, buddhi, sanskar, and a journey of his own. And if we are trying to be very pushy about how I want you to be, then I am disregarding the fact or disrespecting the fact that you are somebody and I need to be a facilitator in your journey and not intervene and decide the course of your journey. So this is something about love that we need to understand. So what I mean is there are two factors when we talk about love. There is the intention, and then there is the capacity. So sometimes, even with very good intention, because we are very limited in capacity, we are limited in our knowledge, in our purity, in our peace, in our love. So, because we don't have those internal capacities, these are capacities of the soul. And because we don't have these internal capacities to the full, even with very good intention, we may not do a very good job. So there is, I will in this thing, I will mention that sometimes, when we have this, suppose a mother or a father has this habit of nagging. They are not even aware they are nagging means they tend to give a direction 30 times. So whatever they say is repeated over and over again. So the child feels disturbed when he is told 30 times for the same thing, and sometimes the child feels that why am I being told 30 times about the same thing? I have heard it the first time and I know. But here the intention of the parent is not to disturb the child or not to irritate the child. So the intention is very good, but the parent suffers from his own personality limitations. There are limitations in each one's personality, and that is why even with very good intentions, we can do a lot of damage to each other. I will also talk of parents, like there was a brother who there are parents who visit me, and they are around 70 years of age, and they have a son who works with an MNC, and his working hours are quite demanding. So then this mother kept complaining that my child doesn't love me and he doesn't pick my phone, and whenever I call him he doesn't answer. So then once that son came to me and I told him, why don't you pick your mother's phone when she calls you? So he said, so my mother told you also. So then I said, no, she didn't complain, but I also want to know, why don't you pick her up her phone? It makes her very anxious. So he told me, do you know how many times she calls me in a day? So I said, how many times? He said, she calls me 50 times in a day while I am in office working in an MNC, and every time she expects me to pick her call and talk to her for 5 minutes. And if you calculate that if I go by her expectation, I will be soon out of job. So so then I said, yes, I understand what you're going through. Then he said, you see, my mother doesn't understand what the environment of an MNC is and how we are kept under vigil, and I cannot afford to pick her phone and talk to her whenever she wants. When she will call me and tell me telephone ka bill nahi jama hua hai. So I will say, okay, we'll do it in the evening. Then she'll say, nahi, you, agar cut jayega, to you pay that bill right now. Now this is the thing she keeps doing, and she doesn't get what's happening. So now our relationship is a little strained, but then what can I do, sister? This is how it is. So now you see, there are lots of gaps. There are gaps in our personality, there are gaps in our awareness. Sometimes we are not aware about what the situation of the other person is. Like when there are teenage children, then we don't know, we don't although we know, we have also been through teenage, so we also know what are the struggles of a teenager. But when it comes to children, we sometimes disregard that fact, and then we will keep pestering them for not doing the homework or not being present with the family or not doing this or that. And then we kind of intervene in their private space and they don't like it. So it could be a lot more smoother if we opened our eyes and ears, shut down our expectations, and tried to see what the other soul needs or wants at this time. But the thing is, all this kind of awareness is not very present because we are so preoccupied by our own thoughts and our own expectations that we seldom see the other person as a soul. And there is a lot of body consciousness in our operating with other souls, so we tend to see them as a child, or I expect a certain behavior from a certain aged child, but then that child is not a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old. Although physically they may be 5-year or 10-year-old, that child has a sanskar. So if I don't take cognizance of everything, then although my intention is very good, I will end up doing a lot of damage. I will tell you not only about parents and children, about spouses. There was a brother who I saw in my life, and his wife was very ambitious, and this brother was an average person. Like, he could not do too much. He was not very talented when it came to business, or he was not very skilled when it came to doing certain jobs. So he was according to the world standards, he was an average personality. Like, I'm not talking about the spiritual side, but according to the skill set he had. Now, what happened is, this lady kept, and with very good intention, she kept pushing him that you do this and you do that, and you can do this and you can do that. She would give him books, and she would send him videos, and she would try to help him to get to a better position. But eventually, what happened is, that brother committed suicide. So this is something that I saw in a very close fashion. And why this happens is because we don't respect the fact that the other person that I'm dealing with is a soul, and they have a journey of their own, they have capacities of their own, and we completely dishonor that. And we try to pile on our expectations on the other soul, whether it's a spouse, or whether it's a child, or whether they are parents also. Like, sometimes children have very unrealistic expectations of parents. Maybe children go to school, and then they see that their classmates are enjoying a certain lifestyle, or they have a certain facility at their access, and then they push their parents to also provide that. So all these things are there. So we are not very spiritually aware, and because of this, even with very good intention, we could do a lot of damage to each other. So this is what I mean when I say that the love of a human for another human cannot be very uplifting or healing, because every human being operates from their perspective and their consciousness, which is quite limited. Now, there is a lot of discussion these days, or I have seen parents saying this thing that my children are not like me as I was when I was a child. So we were more well behaved, we were more disciplined, we were more obedient, and these children are not obedient or indisciplined, and this and that. But the thing to note in all this is, we are also not the kind of parents that our parents were. If children are not the same, parents are also not the same. So when we as parents have changed, so the children also are picking on that energy. Because when we were children, we were not micromanaged. Like, our parents had 3-4 children, and then we were left to our own, and it was a very a journey of self discovery which was not interrupted many times in a day, and we could find our groove and we had the liberty to do that. But these days we micromanage children in a very bad manner and that's why we don't even allow their discernment or their thinking to develop. A child cannot develop his choices, they can't develop their thinking, they can't find their groove because they are micromanaged to the T, and there is no scope for them finding their own space. So this is why children feel very suffocated these days, and that is why whatever they do is actually a reaction to the kind of environment that we are creating for them. So all these things have to be taken into account when we talk about relationships these days. Now the thing is, there is a very beautiful expression that we talk about when we talk about the relationship with God and the relationship with people. So it is said that only, just like in an orchestra, when every instrument, anybody who is on any instrument tunes into a certain frequency, then they all tune in with each other. Yes. So I once had the opportunity to meet a member of an orchestra, and that orchestra was really well managed, and they were all in sync all the time, and the music was great. And then I asked that lady who I met, how many hours do you practice together? So she told me, how many hours do you think we practice together? So I said, maybe 7 or 8 hours. So she said, you will be surprised that each of us practice 7 to 8 hours by ourselves, on that note. And then we only practice with each other 1 hour a day, because it's not about being harmonious with each other, it's about playing your piece in the best manner. And when you play your piece in the best manner and everybody does their job well, then we are in harmony with each other. This is the secret to a great orchestra. So why I am giving you this example is because if each of us worked on ourselves and we tried to align with God, take energy from Him and fill the void within ourselves and come to a place of contentment and peace and knowledge and happiness, then we would be able to have a harmonious relationship with everybody around us. So, although we think that harmony will be ensured when each of us aligns with each other, the child starts listening to the parent starts listening to the child, or the spouses start listening to each other, that is not possible, because right now we are all very weaned away or very distant from our core. And only when we all become aligned with our inner self, which is possible only when we connect with God individually. And if each one of us does the inner work, then we will be in harmony with each other also, because each of us individually will be operating from a peaceful, loveful, knowledgeful place within themselves. And when we do that, then it would be very easy to connect with each other, because when we connect with sanskars, with acquired sanskars. We are trying to match each other with the acquired sanskars. It is very difficult because somebody might have the sanskar of getting irritated and somebody might have the sanskar of correcting every time something goes wrong. So then these sanskars can't match. But if each of us tried to go back to our original sanskar, then that would ensure harmony outside, because acquired sanskars can't match. So only when we all move to our original states, we can be in harmony with each other. And this problem of expectation, this belief system that relationships are there to fill the void that exists within us, is a very misleading belief system, and this is the cause of most of our problems today. So one has to very clearly understand that the purpose of relationship is not to fulfill you, because as I discussed yesterday, everybody is operating at low battery. So one low battery cannot charge another low battery. That is not possible. So if we are trying to reinforce this fact again and again, that no, it is the duty of the other person to toe the line that I show, and it is very natural and very right for me to expect this from the other person, and the other person must oblige me, this kind of an approach to life will only lead us to disappointment and probably depression. So we have to understand that the other people around us, other souls around us, have no obligation whatsoever to fulfill our expectations. We are all on a journey, and we can facilitate each other's journey if we choose to, but there is absolutely no onus on one person to fulfill another person's expectation. Now, what I mean by this is, then why are relationships there? Why do we need relationships? This is something we need to understand. Why are we with people? Why don't we become sannyasis? Or why don't we, even sannyasis live in a group, they don't live alone, right? So why is it that we always live with people? It is not because people need to fulfill our needs. Now, let me just ask you, why do you get up in the morning?
Because that morning the environment and outside like oxygen is more, and if you get up early morning, then most of the thing we can do in a calm manner. After a whole day, we will get that particular benefit.
Yes, so there is this thing about somewhere, we feel that I get up for work. Yes, I get up for work, and then mothers will say, I get up because the child has to go to school, or because their breakfast has to be prepared, or the man would say that I have to go to office, or the woman, if she's a working woman, she would say that I have to go to office, so that's why I have to get up. Now, one thing is, if I gave you a scenario where there is absolutely no reason for you to get up, that is, there is no work, there is nobody you have to prepare breakfast for, there is nothing that is waiting for you to do it, and you will be completely taken care of, you will be given the food, you will be given everything, and you will be provided with everything, and nobody is waiting for your attention or your time, or nobody is waiting for you to do something for them. What kind of a life would that be? Would you enjoy that life?
It will be like monotonous life.
Yeah, and monotonous, and also, you will not relish that life for very long, because that would be a life without purpose. And when there is nothing to do, just like, probably a glimpse of it, some people got in the lockdown when there is no office and there is, but yes, still there is a lot to do right now also, because there's work to do at home, there's food to be prepared, there is cleaning to be done, there is some work to be done from work from home or something or the other. But if there's absolutely nothing to do, what kind of a life would that be? That would not be that would not be at all a fulfilling life. So now what we have to understand is this expression that we use all day, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. You have to start thinking about whether you are doing the work, or the work is giving you an opportunity to lead a productive life. Okay, whether you are taking care of people, or people around you are giving you an opportunity to live a life of meaning and purpose. So although we think that I am doing and I am responsible and I am the one who is doing everything, and these people are the takers and they owe me some amount of gratitude and they owe me some amount of, thankfulness because of how I am treating them, it is actually the opposite. If there is nobody around me and there is nothing to do, then my life would lose meaning and purpose. So basically, whatever we do should not be done with the expectation that people around me and the circumstances around me owe me gratitude. I should understand that I have energy. We are born with energy. We are born with time. Yes? We are born with the thought. You can't stop thinking. You can't stop energy into your energy from being created in your body. You can't stop the clock from ticking. There will be 24 hours available to you every day. So these are the gifts that we are born with: thought, time, and energy especially. And then there is this inner capacity to love, to feel happy. And until and unless we use these, we put them to good use, we cannot experience them. If I do not put my capacity to create loveful thoughts, create loveful words, and express love in action, then I cannot experience the energy that is contained within me. So I must understand that whatever I hold within myself, these resources of time, energy, thought, and the energy of love, peace, happiness, these have to be used up or expressed. And only in their expression can I feel them. I told you that law: if you don't use it, you lose it. So we need to use our thought, time, and energy in a loveful and a peaceful and a happy manner, so that that experience is available to us. So when we understand this simple fact, then we become aware that we are not doing any kind of would you say हमने धरती पर आकर एहसान नहीं किया है ना. वी आर लिविंग लाइफ एज इफ अब हम धरती पर आ गए, हमने बहुत बड़ा एहसान कर लिया. अब ऑल द पीपल अराउंड मी एंड ऑल द सर्कमस्टांसेस अराउंड मी एंड ऑल द 5 elements of nature have to keep thanking me and doing things for me so that I stay intact. But it is not like that. I am born with resources, I am born with energy, and I need to express these in action. I need to think peacefully, I need to think lovingly, I need to operate with love, I need to do things so that I experience what is contained within me. So Being in a family, being with people is about encashing that opportunity to express that is available for us. It's not about doing things for them, it's doing it for myself. Because when I use up this energy of thought, word and action productively, meaningfully, and in touch with my natural nature, then only can I experience joy and happiness in my life, in my inner world. So once we understand this, then we don't live, don't then we don't operate in the fashion we have been operating in until now. Until now, we thought we are doing everything for the other person, so expectation was natural because I thought if I am doing it for them, they owe it to me that they should do something for me. But now you understand that you are not doing it for them, you are doing it for yourself. And when you do something, there is a law of karma that whatever energy you radiate will come back to you. So you don't have to intend to take while you give, because even if you don't intend to take, you will always receive what you give. This is the law of nature. And this law works independent of your expectation. You don't have to create an expectation about it. If you are aligned with your internal energy, if you are thinking in peace, showing acts of love, then that energy will be reciprocated by the universe. This is a law. And you don't have to remind the universe to give it back to you. Okay, now this is about relationship. Let me talk about work also. I once I was traveling by a shared Uber, and then I was in that Uber, and then from some office, some gentleman came into that cab. So he was carrying these many files with him. So when he entered that cab, I saw that heap of files with him. So I immediately, after some time, I started talking to him, and I said, "आप ये ऑफिस का काम घर में करते हैं?" तो he said, "Yes, बहुत काम होता है तो करना पड़ता है." तो I said, अच्छा, बहुत अच्छी बात है. मतलब I didn't have an idea that people are so sincere that they work so much. And then I really had a lot of respect for that fellow. But then after 5 minutes, he started talking to me. And then he started abusing everybody on the planet, starting from his colleague to his boss to, to the central government to the prime minister of the country. And then he's actually spoke lines together abusing each one of them, and how everybody is not working and nobody is ensuring that he has a great life and a life of comfort, and how he has to work day in and day out, and how he is filled with hatred for his colleague and his boss. And after listening to him for 15-20 minutes, I told him, आप एक काम करेंगे? तो he said, क्या? तो I said, आप थोड़ा कम काम किया कीजिए. आपकी जो ये काम करने का बोझ है ना, वो यूनिवर्स संभाल नहीं पाएगा. Because if you are radiating so much of negativity in the environment while doing a little piece of work, then you are not contributing to the universe. You are actually loading the universe with a lot of negative energy. So we must understand that sometimes we think that we are contributing to the well-being of the society or the family or the universe by working or by doing things for people around us or doing our job. But the thing is, our contribution is not only by way of what we do, but it's also by way of how we think while we are doing it, what we speak while doing it. And if what we do is of very good quality, maybe I'm cooking a very nice breakfast, maybe I'm doing my job perfectly, maybe I'm designing policies which could be great for work, but then if I'm doing it with this energy of negativity and irritation and complaint and criticism, and if I'm constantly speaking words that carry this energy, then I must understand that my future will not be good because the universe is listening. And whatever we send out by way of energy will come back to us. You must be sometimes wondering that people who have really taken care of their children and who have been very diligent in the office, sometimes you see them suffering in the old age. And you must understand that it is also because we take care to do things with the hands in a very perfect manner. But then what we don't understand is we are simultaneously radiating energy by way of thought and word. And if my life has always been spent in cribbing and complaining and criticizing and whining and getting irritated and worrying and in fear, then the energy burden or to the universe that I have given will come back to me. And when that comes back to me, I don't like it, but whatever I'm receiving is definitely a product of what I have radiated. So if I understand this beautiful law, then I have to be careful at all levels. It is very good news that we are doing good things with the hands and we are using our time efficiently. But then we should also take care to use our thoughts efficiently, to use our words efficiently. You must have heard of this word called Karam Yog. Now, what is Karam Yog? Karam Yog is karm done in the consciousness of yog. Karm done in the consciousness of yog. Now, what is yog? When you are in touch with your natural qualities and when you are in alignment with God, then you think right, create the right feelings, create the right attitude, speak soothing words, and then when you act in this energy, then it is called Karam Yog. Some people have misleadingly translated it into karma is yog or work is worship, but that is not so. Had work been worship, then all the people who are working 24/7 should be happy. But then people are not happy working 24/7 because the consciousness with which they are working is not a very happy consciousness. Yes, Tejal, Ben, you want to ask something?
Can you please repeat what you said about yoga? What is yoga?
Yoga is when you are connected with your own basic nature, that is, I am a peaceful, loveful, blissful soul, and then with God, which we will learn how to connect with. So, when you are connected with your own original qualities and with the qualities of God, and you are in the consciousness that I am a pure being, and you think likewise, create feelings and vibration which are in keeping with your original nature, you speak words seeing the other person as a soul, operate with respect and love in your heart for people around you. Know that they are souls on a journey and each one is different, and respect the differences that you have. Still hold that love in your heart for each one. Only then can you perform action which will give you good result. So when we work in the consciousness of yoga, that is called Karam Yog. So only Karam Yog can lead us to a happy life. And although, whether it's a mother taking care of the child or a lady taking care of the household or a man fending for the household or people working in the office, we are all doing Karam. But what is missing is this yog factor. And that is why, when this yog factor is missing, our families, our workplaces, our societies, our nationalities are not developing in the manner that they should. Because if we see, we are working more than we ever did. Yes, as a whole country, as a whole world, we are working more than we ever did. But still, the state of the world is not what it should be. And it is because we are working with greed, we are working with desire, we are working with this energy of expectation, criticism, fear, complaint, irritation all the time. And that is why, although we are working and the GDP of the country is increasing, but what is decreasing is the peace quotient, the happiness quotient, the love quotient in the universe. And this is because the only side which we are watering is flourishing, and what we are neglecting is not flourishing. So as you sow, so shall you reap. So if we neglect this one aspect completely while sowing the seeds, how can we think that this side will flourish? So this is something that we need to understand about love and relationships, whether it is relationship with people or relationship with work. And spiritual love, spiritual relationship means when you keep the knowledge of the soul, keep the qualities of the soul intact, and then operate in the world. That is called a spiritual relationship. And when you operate from the point of view of body consciousness, that is called a material relationship. Okay? Om Shanti. Let's have a few minutes of meditation and then we'll meet tomorrow. Keep your body still and straight. Allow the body to relax. And as you do so, you become aware of your breath. Now gently take your attention to yourself. Become aware of yourself as a small point of light. Sitting in the center of the forehead. I, the soul, am the seed of my universe. I am the one who thinks, takes decisions, I create the vibration. I set the atmosphere. Whatever I do with the hands or speak from the mouth carries the energy that I am within. Now I know the seed of my universe. I always take care to water myself, nourish myself with attention. Let me do that right now. I am a point of peace. The light within me is the light of peace. Feel the energy that you are. Very still, very calm, silent, and peaceful. This is who I am. Completely calm and peaceful. The calmness in me radiates through my eyes. The words I speak carry my energy of peace. I speak slowly and softly. I listen with peace. I don't jump to conclusions. I don't judge. I have a patient hearing for people around me. The work I do carries my energy of peace. The food I prepare gets nourished with my peace. Sit in this awareness of a peaceful soul in action. Om Shanti.